Hey guys, how you doing? Today I want to share with you my 10 most essential free VST plugins for music producers in 2022. Whether you are a new producer or you've been doing it a while, all of these plugins will be a great addition to your collection. I'm going to be covering some instrument devices, and I'm also going to be covering some effects devices too, including synths, samplers, saturators, limiters, and more besides. I'm also going to show you how I use them and how you can use them to create a track from scratch. So without further ado, let's hop into the door and have a look at these top 10 free VST plugins. So the first plugin is actually an array of different instruments from Native Instruments. It's called Complete Start. And if you are just starting out, this is fantastic if you've got no synths, if you've got no other instruments. And let's just have a look what's included. You get 7 free synthesizers, you get 9 sampled instruments, and you also get some effects thrown in as well. So let's have a look at this and where we might use it. So I've got a drum beat at the moment that I programmed in. And if you want the samples I've used in this, you can check out the EDM Tips Creative Suite below this video. And what we're going to do is add a bass line using one of these Complete Start sounds. And I'm going to use the TRK01 bass that is from Complete Start. Nice FM bass sound there. So a pretty simple interface, loads of interesting presets to scroll through and try out. That's pretty cool. I like this one best though. And that's just one of the instruments that you get free with this Complete Start bundle. Okay, on to the next free VST plugin. That is from Spitfire Audio and it's called Spitfire Labs. And this is a fantastic plugin for realistic sounding instruments, but also some more interesting experimental types. This on the website shows you all of the free packs that you can get. And there are loads of interesting effects that you can get in there, loads of interesting sounds. There are also some normal sounds which I really like the sound of, such as the strings and the piano in particular. Very cool. So let's just add some strings into this track. You can see I've programmed them in MIDI, and I'm going to open up Spitfire Audio Labs. And then from the drop down, you can choose whichever ones you've got installed. I'm going to use strings here, and let's have a listen to it. Turn off the compressor. You can control the reverb as well, and you can control the release of the strings too. But they're really nice, really lush sounding strings, and in the mix with the reverb and the compressor, it sounds like this. Really lush. So definitely worth checking out Spitfire Labs. Next is Vital. This is kind of like a competitor to Serum, but it's completely free. So if you're wanting to create some interesting wavetable synths, then this is a really, really cool synth. Loads of presets included. If you get the EDM Tips Creative Toolkit, we've also got some Vital presets included in that. So let's just have a look at how we might use that. If we go to Vital here, have a look at I've just got a sustains note here. So in this instance, I'm just using an interesting preset. And you can see you've got loads of LFO controls, loads of envelope controls, just like in Serum. But again, as I said, it's free. You've got all these effects as well. So this is a really, really powerful synth. Definitely recommend it. I think I've made a brass sound as well. So if we go down to that, made a brassy bass sound. Yeah, I love Vital. It's a fantastic synth. So if we just throw some effects on that and duck it, add that into our track as well. Nice. Okay, next we are going to look at the Tyrrell number 6 from Youlean, and these are the guys that make Diva, which is an incredible synth, but you know, it costs money. But this one is a completely free synth that you can download. Now this is more of an analog based synth than, for example, the Vital. It's got classic hardware oscillator routing and a nice analog feel to it, kind of like Silent One in some ways, but again, it's completely free. So let's have a look at what you can do here. So what I've done for this synth is just again, scrolled through some of the cool presets. I've added some stabs to the track. Let's scroll through some of the presets. So there are some quite interesting old school sounds in here. But I'm going to go back to the sound that I had picked before. Which brings me on to the next free synth I'm going to recommend, and this is the last of our synthesizers. This is the Surge. Now this certainly isn't as pretty looking as the others, but it's an incredibly powerful digital synth. It's got way more routing options than the UE Tyrrell, but it's going to give you more of a digital sound and give you lots of scope for experimental sound design. So let's just go and load a Surge in, load it into here onto our arpeggio. It's a bit small on this screen because it's high resolution, so I'm just going to go into zoom it up to 150, maybe even a bit more, 200%, so we can see everything, and let's just check it out. Nice, churchy. You can see how many controls there are here, and you've actually got two scenes as well that you can kind of meld into each other, as well as all the effects as well. This is a really, really powerful synth, and yeah, it's not as pretty as some of the others, as I said, but it's definitely worth getting because you can do some really interesting sound design in this. Nice. Let's add that in, see how it sounds. Add some reverb. Remember guys, these are all completely free, these synths. Next we are going to go on to the first of the effects plugins that I'm going to recommend, the free ones. This is an absolute classic, the Softube saturation knob. This adds harmonics to a sound, it's going to fatten it up, make it pop through the mix a bit more. So let's just apply this saturator to some of our instruments. I've grouped the kick and the bass together so I can process them as one in a kick and bass bus. And this is it as it stands. So let's just add some saturation. Fatten it up. I'll take the volume down afterwards though, so it's easier to compare the effect. So it's just fattening it up a bit, and we could do the same with the drums and the shuffle as well. So we go to our drums. Open up the saturation knob. Just subtly fattening it up. Again with the shuffle. Add some saturation. So this is before the saturation. So just fattening it up a little bit. Nice. The next free plugin I recommend is amazing. It's from Valhalla, who make fantastic reverbs anyway, but they've got a couple of free ones that you can download as well. And Valhalla's Supermassive is one of them. This can create some really interesting, creative reverb and delay type effect. So if we go back to the stabs that we looked at that I created with the Tyrrell N6 earlier, bit boring. Let's add one of these Valhalla Supermassives. Nice, like instant nice, instant yes. And you can just scroll through the presets. That's cool. So with everything. It's sounding pretty nice. Now for this vital here, I'm just going to add another one of these Valhalla Supermassives, just to richen the sound up a bit, make it more interesting. Ooh, that's cool. And now let's go on to the next free effects plugin. That is Pancake by Cableguys. Now, if you've got Shaperbox, these are the guys that make Shaperbox. They've absolutely nailed the game when it comes to being able to modulate sounds after you've created them. And the Pancake is really working with panning and in the stereo field, as you would expect. But you can get some pretty interesting sounds that are just going to create more interest and movement to your music. So if we listen to our ARP again, our arpeggio, and then just throw on one of these pancakes, and then we can just go through some of these presets, and you can hear it panning left and right. You can speed it up, you can change the mix, so that's not being affected at all. Let's listen to some of the more extreme ones. So it just adds more interest, more movement to that sound. We'll add one to the stabs too. Nice. Next, we're going to look at a really useful metering tool. This is the Youlean loudness meter, and when you're mastering and you want to get a comparably loud mix to your reference tracks, this is an incredible tool. So let's just get rid of all this stuff. We are going to go to the mastering channel, and I've just put one on the end of the chain. Let's open it up, see what's going on. Now, again, it's really useful. You can just resize the window, but what we're looking for here is the integrated LUFS value predominantly. And we're also looking for the true peak max. So at the moment, this is what we're doing. At -17. And then when you're mastering your track, you can throw one of these Youlean loudness meters on your reference track, and then you can try and get a comparable likeness, like for like, with the same genre of music. But this takes me on nicely to the last plugin I'm going to recommend before the bonus, and that is this Loudmax mastering limiter. So one of the things that I think lets Ableton down is the limiter. You can't get it that loud without it kind of distorting. So what I've done is I've thrown a limiter on, I've bumped it up by 11 dB, and then I've put a utility plugin to then take it down by 5 dB, and I'll show you the reason why. At the moment, on our master channel, we're hitting about -5 peak. So if we put a limiter on, and we don't put this utility plugin, it's going to be peaking at 0. And we want to hear what effect the limiter is actually having. So I'm just ducking down that volume again. So this is the Ableton limiter at the moment. That's with no limiter. Ableton limiter. Now with the Loudmax, I've done +11 as well, and then ducked it down, and let's just compare the two. So this is the Loudmax. It's just clearer, the transients are coming through. And that's the Ableton limiter, and it's just kind of crushing it and mashing it a bit more. So in terms of free limiters, this Loudmax is incredible, definitely worth getting. So they're pretty much my 10 plugins. Now there is a bonus one, and the reason it is a bonus free plugin is because the graphical user interface doesn't really work properly in Ableton anymore, but you can still access the controls, and that is the classic Camelcrusher. I'll put links to all these below these as well, guys. So with the Camelcrusher, if you open it up in Ableton, you can see it's just a black box. You can't really use it. You can press this little button here, and then you can access all of the controls within it. And this is just a saturator and a filter and a compressor all in one. It's a really, really great plugin. So if we add it to our bass, you can add some really nasty or nice distortion. And a quick bonus tip is if you use the VST version instead of the AU version, if you're on a Mac, you can use the VST version on a PC or a Mac, then you can actually still access the presets in this drop-down menu, which you can't do with the AU. Anyway, there you go, guys. They are my top 10 free VST plugins that I recommend checking out in 2022. Now, the caveat is just grabbing plugins isn't going to make your music sound better. You have to know exactly how to use them, in what order, and to what degree. And I've actually put together some free training that's going to show you exactly how to do that. It's my Radio Ready workshop. This workshop has now helped thousands of bedroom music producers just like you get their music finished and get it to a professional standard whereby it can be released on some of the world's biggest record labels. So if you want to know how to use your plugins properly and get really truly professional sounding music, then check it out below this video. If you enjoy this video also, please share it with your friends, hit like and subscribe to my channel for more music production tips each and every week. Until next time, thanks for watching, cheers and happy producing.